Okay, so our next song is Sinner's Swing, and this is another path that isn't particularly hard. There's another. Once again, it only has 4 activations, and none of the activations are hard to do. So we go straight into it. We got some whammy phrases here. You want to be whammying everything pretty much all of the time. There's very few instances where you don't want to whammy a sustain that's under star power. There is a star power phase, should I say. So yeah, we got whammy phrase, another pretty easy phrase here. Now, the only thing that could possibly go wrong with this one, you see it's an immediate act, so as soon as you get the star power you act on the next note. The only thing that could go wrong here is after you whammy this sustain, you don't get your finger down in time to act on this note, but you have an entire measure for that. So it's unlikely that, I keep saying you, but you know what I mean. It was unlikely that I would not get this act. So yeah, an entire measure to get the pinky down to the button to activate on the first note after. So yeah, once again, an immediate act is the first act. Sound familiar? But it does change up a bit from there. So, and that is actually the only act before the solo. So after that, yeah, you just want to make sure you get every star power phrase. None of them are hard. But yeah, the activation here, it comes after the boost sustain. It's basically this start at the very first quick bit here. So yeah, straight after the blue sustain, activate. So yeah, this note. And it overlaps simple, obviously. There's no way you wouldn't overlap if you activate on that note. The only way you wouldn't get the star power is if you missed the phrase. And it's not a particularly hard phrase. There's a couple of double notes. But yeah, and whammy the yellow. No, don't whammy the yellow. Sorry. This is one thing. This is one thing that might be what you might not expect. I didn't whammy this yellow, and this is a consistency thing. See, immediately after this yellow comes the tapping part of the solo. These 3 oranges here, I tapped for consistency's sake. So I sacrificed. You see, the activation is supposed to end about here. I sacrificed. I don't know how many points that would be. You know, maybe about four notes, just to make sure that I wasn't going to miss this first tapping bit. So there you go, there's a sacrifice. But yeah, that's the solo activation. It doesn't cover the absolute end of the solo, which you might think is odd, but I guess this is it's better for one reason or the other. It's just better. So this song is the solo, really. After that, you got another act. It's another pretty simple one. So you get 2, and then well, you remember this. It's the last time this thing appears. It's like the very end of the last verse. So you get a break. You get these 2 tap notes, I think they are, and then immediately on that, yep, I've been banned. Thank goodness. All right, yeah, simple act. You don't need to squeeze it. You can see. But yeah, you act this, you don't overlap if you activate on that note. There's no way you would. So this is a case of where I was saying earlier, you want to be whammying everything pretty much at all times. In this case, you might not want to whammy until you've run out of star power, because if you do whammy these 2 yellows fully, you may well overlap here. And you don't want to do that at all, because I think there's only one more phrase in the entire song. You might be able to whammy enough star power out of it, but you don't want to overlap. So yeah, one of the rare cases where it's probably not wise to whammy absolutely everything. So I think I probably just didn't whammy this at all. I might have whammied the second one. And then the last act is an immediate act, and it isn't that easy actually. So you're going to be whammying this whole thing. There's a lot of sustains you want to whammy. And the act is on the green note. Now I don't think I ever activated on the green note. I went for this 3-note chord here. And even then, it's not. I wouldn't always get my finger there in time after whammying, but it isn't actually the end of the world, I don't think. You can activate on the next chord and you don't lose that many points. You see this squeeze in this note, you end up getting a single note instead of a 3-note chord. So it's a little bit of a point loss. But yeah, it's risky to go immediately from whammy into an activation. And I think this green is a hammer-on, which makes it even worse. But yeah, and that's the path for Sinner's Swing. It's nothing too crazy. A couple of quick transitions. I say it's nothing crazy. It actually has some oddities in it, as I say, the non-whammy there, a note that I don't whammy, and then yeah, the quick transition at the end. But you know, it's nothing compared to some of the other paths you have to execute. But yeah, that's the path for that, and we'll get to the notes. Okay, so now let's take a look at the notes for Sinner Swing, and outside the solo there really isn't anything to comment on. It's basically any tier 2 song, a couple of little quick licks, but nothing that I need to get into. There is one thing which sort of counts as a solo, but it's actually in chorus 1 that I would point out. I don't even bother playing this because, you know, it's simple, dude. So, after that last sustain there, what I would do is switch to elbow strumming. That's it. Just tap that trill. Consistency, man. It's not fast elbow strumming, and all you need to do is just tap 5 times. And slide down. It's just for consistency's sake. None of that is hard. You might think it's a bit, you know, yeah, it's too much, you don't need to do that. Why not do it though? It's easier to tap that trill than one-handed, so why not tap it? That's my thought process with this sort of stuff. If it's more consistent, do it. I mean, yeah, sure, it's not hard to one hand. Well, I don't need demo that. But yeah, you'd want to, with a pinky, it's relatively fast. And if you switch to 3rd position, then you'd have to slide all the way back down. So there you go. Tap that trill. There's no reason not to, unless you physically can't elbow strum. But yeah, now that's just one little thing. Now we get to this solo. So first of all, just come on that little lick. The only thing wrong with that is you have to slide down. So as soon as it goes down to green, you slide down and then you're in 1st position. But that's not obviously not the main thing, so we'll set it here. And we're going to tap this whole thing. It's all standard tapping, but there are a few ghost notes I use to make sure it works. Now, I'm actually going to slow this down because it's not a speed up, so we can do that. No ghosting. No ghosting. Make sure you keep anchoring red there. That's one thing that can trip you up. Then an anchor yellow there, another anchor yellow there. Not anchor, another ghost. Which makes it more trivial. You can tap whichever notes you want. I just tap the highest note, what I would consider the highest note of each little tiny, like 6 notes. The only thing is, yeah, that last little triplet down, it's kind of quick, so the only risk there is that you could miss something there, really, with this ghosting. But it makes it so much easier. Alright, so that's solo A. It's the easier part of the two, and solo B has more interesting stuff than just basically standard tapping. I mean, it is just standard tapping, but there's more ghost notes. This very beginning bit can be a bit weird, because he's switching anchors. It switches from a red anchor to a yellow anchor, but there you go. Just pretend there's yellows before the oranges. Makes it so much easier. It's all the same pattern. All of that is just the same pattern. After this, you just do the same thing. There's a little bit where it comes down here, but that's fine. Just all the same. Alright. Now after this, now we're going to start using our pinky, which we weren't using before. I'm just going to do it first. Alright, I'm going to mess it up because it's 30% speed. More ghosting. A double tap there where there's no note. Now that is probably the most interesting thing in terms of consistency there. No need to strum that note or release the LO at all. Remember, we're playing Clone Hero. Alright. Speed is so slow, I'm just doing everything too fast. So at the end it's going to be 2, 3 quick double taps. It's actually 4. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. That's simple. And all it is, you just ignore the notes and pretend it's zigs, quad zigs in between the double taps. And the note snap is not going to matter at 100% speed. Just quad zigs. And it becomes fine. And that's how it's done. So a lot of ghost notes in there, and the extra tap is a bit creative. Most of the time you try and hit everything as accurately as possible, but we're trying to be consistent with the songs here. We're not trying to get a ghost-free, perfect, look at me, I play Rock Band 3 run. We're trying to be as consistent as possible, and doing it this way makes it as consistent as possible. I believe in Spanish Fly there's a double green, and a lot of people would do an extra tap there as well. And there's Van Halen again, as it happens. But yeah, it's not unheard of to do something like this. And clearly it was more consistent for people on Spanish Fly, so you can do it here as well. Another full solo. All the same thing. And then come back down, and then it's just the rest of the song is fine. With this, what ghost notes are your biggest friend, as well as that double tap at the end. See, if I try and do it without the double tap and elbow strum it, you'll see how awkward it looks. Just do the rest the same. So you see, you stop tapping and then have it strum. See, I've never even tried it till now. That feels so weird. It interrupts the flow, so that double tap just works perfectly, because as I say, you do it 4 times. So there you go, and that's the notes of Sinner Swing. There really isn't anything else outside of the solo, so we'll just move on to a run of it. So, we'll see that.
Trouble in the wind, madness bringing up the rear. wasted. I want more. No one's above suspicion. No one's got it wired. I make with my fingers while my iron in that fire. And now we're wasting time. Now we're wasting time. Same old pickup lines. And you keep trying. Buddy, you keep trying.
There we go, that was Sinner's Swing. I think about 346 was about the best I did in the tournament, but it is about average. I had some pretty bad whammies in there. But yeah, that's that. And the next song we have is Immediate Result 120. Now that's an interesting one, so it might even be longer. These videos are being longer than I expect, but this one might take a while. But anyway, we'll see you there.